Welcome to this episode of YouTube where I wanted to address something we put in the Wolf Logs. Leanne Martin, our assistant curator, wrote about Bolts is having a little bit of a challenge dealing with Axel's dominance. And so in the last week, he's been kind of seeking refuge around the den. We are feeding him every day. He's got a warm cover of hay in there, but he is dealing with 3-year-olds that are getting a little bit too much. Denali seems to be able to handle them okay, although we obviously don't want Denali in a compromised position. And when they get a little bit too much, we make sure we open up the pack holding area, kind of draw them off. We also will use distractions and but Denali's holding his own, even though it gets a little rough sometimes. He's right in there, and as a matter of fact, he's chasing Grayson and doing a little bit of dominance. So, but Bolts is hanging on the top of the hill. We're working on that. We're trying to calm things down a little bit. We're using a lot of kibble, which they don't really get a lot of dog food. So they, thanks to Andy Nelson, who donates a really good quality venison kibble that they like, and it gives them a little bit of distraction. And so this is a short-term issue. It's typically hormones peak in January and early February. Like I said, we're kind of monitoring that. Bolts has got a waterer right near the den, but he's choosing to eat snow like Denali is doing here as well. So a lot of the wolves in the wild are eating snow. So that's my only personal concern is, again, getting enough moisture. And fortunately, northern Minnesota has been giving us snow. So we are pretty much getting snow every other day. And it's wet snow, it's warm snow. So it's got a lot of moisture value in it. I did give him a bowl of water, but obviously that's freezing in the den in case he didn't want to step out to the water. But he's been moving farther and farther, and so you've seen a lot of distractions. And I just want to remind people that dominance is part of wolves. This is actually Denali and Aiden as 16-day-old pups, and you're seeing here before they could barely even walk, when they're kind of a little roly-poly, they show some dominance. But I wanted to use this clip to remind you as well that stress is evident, and you see Aiden on the left on the receiving end. He's doing a couple of yawns there, and yawn is one of those things where we see as in the canine stress dictionary as an indicator of stress. So very, very important as we come up to the pup season for 2020 that we have trained people who can recognize canine stress. And so we also want to reiterate that dominance is part of the wild wolf world. This is from Dave Meach, kind of narrating some footage up in the high Arctic, showing some dominant posturing, and you can see the tail posture. You can see one wolf kind of pinned down, and the other wolf posturing very, very slowly, deliberately, showing dominance over a subordinate. So this is all part of wolf DNA. They're not doing anything wrong. It's not, they hate each other. It's just a seasonal thing. And how we are trying to deal with it is we can't help Bolts' confidence, but what we can try to do is to curb a little bit of Axel's excitement. And so the staff have been instructed to do a little bit more hands-on dominance with Axel. We're going to try to do a little bit more positive conditioning, getting him to roll over, getting him to not pin, but getting him to submit to us, and then giving him some positive reinforcement. But I do pin him a few times if he's just too excited, and try to calm him down. So you can see him scraping the ground there. This is him coming into the pack holding area. This is back where Grizzer's on the backside. Grizzer normally has this pack holding area. Grizzer's back on the roofed in areas that we've made for him to keep him protected from the gates and slipping and sliding. But what's interesting here, Shannon Barbara Meyer from the does wolf care, as a research biologist here in the Wild Wolf Project. She's kind of narrating here, and there's Axel comes up with a high tail and postures, but you'll see Grayson come over, and he puts his nose through the gap in the gate, and he and Grizzer are nose to nose. And look at how great Grayson is in greeting. This is where the pup introduction is going to go. So when the pups are ready to come into the main pack, we're going to be bringing in the wolves from the exhibit. And my hope is that Grayson is the first one to meet those new pups in 2020 and make them feel welcome. I think Grayson has got what it takes to be a leader Not that I want to set anyone up to figure out who's going to be the leader, but I need someone to meet those pups who's not going to be excited, who's going to be calm, who's not going to be ramped up and dominant over them. And when I see Grayson nose to nose with Grizzer versus Axel, who's kind of posturing a little bit, and he's back again, nose to nose with Grizzer, yeah, that tells me that's the wolf that I want leading an introduction of pups, because they're all pretty much on. There's no real clear leadership in this exhibit pack yet. In the absence of Aiden, we haven't had leadership yet. We're probably not going to get a clear leader until we get a female in there and bond a pair and create a dominant pair. So that's kind of where we're at. And so, again, I wanted to thank all of you who've sent me emails concerned about Bolts. I am concerned with him as well. He is getting fed every day. Grayson's getting extra food as well, because sometimes Axel gets more than his fair share. So I want to introduce Leanne Martin. If you've been seeing her name in the logs, that was her greeting Grizzer there. She is helping me write logs. Kelly Godfrey has also been hired as our assistant curator, so I'll try to get some footage of Kelly so you know who are the players. But again, we're doing what we can to make sure everybody's calm in winter. Thanks. Have a good day. We'll hope to see you next week.